Hi guys, this is the Idaho Picker here on Logic Before Authority. And today I'm going to take you into an in-depth look into the Louisiana sinkhole, the Gulf of Mexico, and the surrounding issues, such as why is the cavern contents dropping, why is the water moving on the surface of the sinkhole. I'm going to give you some educated hypothesis as to what exactly is going on down there, and I'm going to show you what I believe is good enough evidence to support my hypothesis on what is happening down there. And so what you're looking at here now, this is a 3D representation of a salt dome, because some of you may be new to my channel, and I'm sure some of you are. And this is a 3D representation of a salt dome. There is a lot of these salt domes that lay down in the Louisiana area, which I'll show you an overhead here in just a minute of those from a satellite view, kind of, okay? But the ones that are in Louisiana itself, the majority of them lay underground, and it's a prehistoric layer of salt that was deposited there thousands of years ago. And they were deposited there likely due to a volcanic event that took place in the Gulf of Mexico, and with a tremendous amount of soil, rocks, debris, ash was thrown into the air and then come down on top of the ocean, which at that time was further up on Louisiana, okay, and when the water was higher. And then as that sediment went down through the water, and it pushed the salt layer down and created a layer of salt, a very thick layer of salt, thousands of feet down below the ocean, or excuse me, below the soil, okay, about 1,700 feet in most areas. And over time, what happened is this salt actually moved slowly due to many factors that are taking place down in the Gulf area there, which a lot of those factors I'm going to go through today, okay? Now, what happens in a lot of cases are these domes are formed, okay? Here's a look at some different domes, shapes that have occurred down there and in other places in the world as well, not just in that location. But you can see some of them come up into domes like mushrooms. Some of them come up into various other shapes and sizes, and that they've got all the names that they've attached to them here and such, okay? So, and this is basically, it looks like this all over the Gulf of Mexico down there and under the soil in Louisiana and other areas of the South there. And what we're going to be talking about today is the fact that there is a sinkhole that is formed. It has been formed on the side or on the edge of one of these salt domes, and it's due to the storage or the practice of storing gas and nuclear waste and all kinds of things in these salt domes. So what they do, as you can see here on the left hand side, is they drill down into the salt. This is the layer of the salt here that's, say, 1,700 or so feet below the surface of the soil, okay? And they drill down into the salt, and then they start pumping mining solution down in there, which then basically water is what we're talking about. They pump it in there, and then it is sucked back out through the same tube in a separate layer of the straw, you might say, okay? And over time, they continuously keep doing it and doing it and doing it until they end up with a storage tank, okay? And they can even end up with a field of storage tanks. And that's exactly what we've got in the Assumption Parish area in Louisiana, and on top of the Napoleon Salt Dome. So inside this salt dome, they have many of these caverns that are approximately, and all of them are a little different size, but to give you a general size specifically for the one that we're going to be talking about today is about the size of 2 Empire State Buildings. So down into the salt, they've mined it out using water vacuum systems to dissolve the salt, and then they end up with a cavern the size of 2 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. So very large around and very, very, very tall. And then what they can do is they can store gas down in these containers. Okay, but what happened is that this particular cavern that you see here, which is the number 3 cavern, which used to be called the Vulcan, like for volcanism, like for volcanoes. Strange name they used to have for it, right? It's called the Vulcan Cavern number 3, but they changed the name of it to Oxy number 3. Okay. What happened is this cavern was right on the edge of the salt dome. Okay, and the cavern failed due to, there's a lot of speculation as to what it was. Ultimately, I think they did something that caused it to fail. But they had it very close to the edge of the salt dome, and it did fail. And so a crack formed all the way up to the surface. And when the crack formed up to the surface, it created the sinkhole that we now have down there. Now here we have a Bing map of the Louisiana, the state of Louisiana. And of course you can see part of Texas and Mississippi here. But I'm going to take you in and show you where this sinkhole has formed. Formed right close to Donaldsonville, which is in Assumption Parish, which is right next to Ascension Parish. And if we zoom right on in here, you can actually see the sinkhole. It is now showing, I believe, no, it's not on Bing. Okay, that's fine. You can see it on Google if you come to this location. But I'm going to show you the location of it here. You see these well pads here? These are what's called well heads. Okay, here, they're all over. Okay, everywhere you see one of these. Most of these are actual caverns under here. Okay, this particular wellhead here, or should we call it cavern head, pardon me, it is the one that has the cavern down below it, as I've described. Okay, has the cavern down below it. The cavern failed. This has a salt dome under here that comes right around through this area. The edge of the salt dome comes right around through here. Okay, it's a salt dome. The top of the salt dome is about 3 to 5 miles across, according to which way you measure it, and it is about 1,700 feet below the ground, and then extends down. The actual salt dome is several miles tall. It is a very large salt dome. Okay, and but this is the location of it. This is where your sinkhole formed at. Okay, right here. And now I'm going to go into a lot further dynamics of this here. This is 3D imaging of the side of the salt dome. Okay, the white area coming down represents the side of the salt dome. Okay, and the blue area up here is the sinkhole. It's represented as like a cup or a funnel looking shape there. Okay, and then you have shell barriers, you have faults. The faults are one of the areas that we're really going to get into. See these dark red areas here stretching across and across? Those are cracks, okay, in the ground. Cracks in the ground that have formed. This whole area I'm going to get into and show in here in a little bit is full of faults and full of a bunch of other interesting things that you're going to find out here in this video. So when this video is over, at 15 minutes, I'm going to have you go over to my new channel, which is Idaho Picker Reloaded, and the rest of this video explaining a lot of stuff is going to be there as well, because this 15 minutes is not going to allow for complete explanation of what I want to show today. Then what they did was they installed a bunch of seismographs around the top of this salt dome. And these seismographs, they monitor the seismic activity at the various different locations. Each one of these monitors a specific location right below it. They are not designed for monitoring areas other than right below them. Okay, so when you look at these are seismographs that are located around, as I was showing you, the sinkhole located in this area. Okay, you can see it there. This is an old photo because it's much larger than this now. Okay, but you see it says LA12, LA8, LA13, and all these LAs. These are all seismograph monitors that we're looking at here. This is LA11 that we're looking at there with the activity on it. LA11, if we look at our map here, you'll notice that LA11 is to the southeast of the sinkhole. Okay, it's down here. So you have seismic activity down here, which is on the southwestern side of the salt dome that wraps around in a big circle here. Okay, and near the location of another cavern as well. Let's take a look at LA12. Major activity, as you can see on LA12, what this is representing is that the ground's breaking up. Okay, the ground is breaking up under this salt dome in various places, and it's been doing this now for almost a year, which is why the sinkhole keeps getting bigger, along with some other factors that I'm going to get into here in just a little bit. This is LA14. If we take a look at LA14, excuse me, LA14 is right here, so substantial activity here as well to the southeast of the sinkhole. Let's take a look at LA15. The heavy squiggly lines that you see here, that is gas movement. The larger activity, those are actual tremors and things moving under the ground. So that's LA15. Let's take a look at that location. LA15. Way back over here, you've got gas movement, a lot of gas movement under the ground, and as well as some tremors as well. This is very much elevated activity than what we've been seeing recently. Let's take a look at to the southwest, LA8 and LA12. Okay, so let's look at 12. Where is it at? Here we are. Substantial activity on 12. Okay, that is to the southwest of the sinkhole. So this whole area is rocking and rolling. Each one of these measure only what's going on under it. And no, it's not cars driving around on top of the sinkhole. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Now in the second part of my video that I'm going to have you go over to my other channel, which is Idaho Picker Reloaded. It's my new backup channel that I'm going to be doing some things on. I'm going to explain what is going on with this water that is moving backwards and forth. If you haven't seen this video, you can look at it on my channel, okay, or you can look at it over at Assumption LA's channel also. And then also what was going on with when they put the weight in and they ran the cable down, and we're not able to hit the bottom at a length of 750 feet. And I'll show you where they've been measuring it, and it was at 300, 500, and now past 750. And I'm going to give you a hypothesis as to why that is, and I'll give you a little hint, and that is underground river, mud volcanoes, and a few other interesting facts. So make sure to go over and check out my next video that's going to be related to this on the Idaho Picker Reloaded channel, and the link to that is down below. And I'll continue on. I've got a ton more research done for you, and factual information that I'm going to give to you so that you can see more likely what is going on down with the Louisiana sinkhole. So if you're new much to Logic Before Authority, and visit my website sometimes down below, and make sure to head on over and see part 2 and part 3 of this video series. Thank you very much. Talk to you again real soon right here on Logic Before Authority.